Well, listen, car accidents, they're a fact of life, especially living in Colorado. But if you're injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, what are your rights? And what happens if the driver who hit you isn't insured? What if your insurance company doesn't pay up?
I live in a city with a lot of traffic and a lot of car accidents, so I guess I should look into it more. I would not know what to do financially if I got in a car accident.
Well, that may be a lot of us. And with us to sort through some of these legal questions is attorney Ken Fielder from the law firm of Larson Larimer. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So I think a lot of people can relate to what he just said. And it seems like we hear a lot about crashes here in Colorado on our highways. If someone's injured, what do we do? Where do we make the insurance claim? And what do we have to have with us? I mean, those are all overwhelming questions, right?
They can be, absolutely. There's a lot of people who are involved in car crashes every day, and it's their first time. And the question is, what do I do when that happens?
Where do we start?
Where do we start? And the first thing is, obviously, you want to make sure you contact the police and that the police are involved so they can document what happened in the auto accident. And secondly, you want to make sure that you see a doctor to get all the treatment that you need and get witnesses' information. But more importantly, you have to understand who's going to pay for your medical bills, who's going to pay for your lost wages if that's the case, who's going to pay for the pain and suffering that you've endured with this. And where that comes into play is what insurance policies are at play in order to pay for your injuries, damages, and losses.
Right. And, you know, we talked about that earlier because sometimes you're stunned when something like that first happens. How do we know? I mean, how protected are the drivers here in Colorado when it comes to insurance laws in the state?
Well, there are some protections in place. Everybody who gets behind the wheel in an automobile in the state of Colorado and drives on one of our roads is required to have insurance, and the minimum amount of insurance you're required to have is $25,000 for bodily injury, which may sound like a lot, but when you're talking about emergency room visits and follow-up visits with doctors and potential surgeries, it's not much protection. And the reality is, while we're required to have that amount of insurance, a lot of times people are driving on the road without even that minimum coverage.
That's so scary. Listen, if you have been in an accident and you don't know what to do, I want to encourage you can pick up the phone and you can call the firm of Larson Larimer, and they handle a wide variety of claims, so they can walk you through the process. It's 303-647-3980 is the number, so write it down and then call him after the show. So let's go over some of the terms that people may not be familiar with, what we're looking at. Uninsured insurance.
So where this comes into play is we talked about the minimum coverage. While you can't control someone else who hits your vehicle, you can control what insurance you have on your vehicle. So when you talk about uninsured insurance, that's something you have with your own automobile insurance policy. And when the driver who struck you, does not have insurance, your uninsurance on your personal automobile insurance policy would then kick in and provide the coverage that you need.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go to the next term here. Tell me the difference. Uninsured insurance is the same as underinsured insurance, and if so, or if not, what's the difference?
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
So there are two different things. Uninsured insurance is what we just talked about when the driver of the vehicle hits you who does not have insurance. As we talked about, if that driver has state minimums of $25,000, let's say, but you have to go to the emergency room and you have to have surgery, your medical bills can exceed hundreds of thousands of dollars. In that particular case, that driver is underinsured. So the underinsured motorist coverage in your automobile insurance policy would then kick in.
Okay. What happens if I'm hit by an uninsured driver? What's the next step?
So the next step is, after we talked about taking the steps, and there's other steps as well after you get into a car crash, but you contact your insurance company and you'll find out relatively soon whether or not the driver who hit you had insurance or not. And if not, then you have the uninsured motorist claim that you can make with your own insurance company, and they provide the same coverage that you would get from the at-fault or bodily injury. It covers for like medical expenses, lost wages, pain and suffering, and other items of damages.
Okay, we're going through everything pretty quickly today, so let me give out this number again, the firm of Larson Larimer. Give them a call, 303-647-3980. We like to get out. We're very active here in our state of Colorado. We like to bike and walk. And what happens if a pedestrian or a cyclist gets hit by an uninsured driver?
Well, it'd be the same thing. So with the policy language and the way the laws are designed in Colorado, if you are struck by someone, whether walking or on a bicycle that does not have insurance, it'd be a similar claim as if you were in an automobile and driving. You can still make a claim for uninsured motorist coverage benefits that you're entitled to receive in that situation.
Gotcha. Here's something I've never heard. What's the term policy stacking all about?
So stacking is a concept that comes in when you have multiple automobiles in your household and you pay different premiums for different insurance coverages. You may have multiple uninsured, underinsured provisions for those different vehicles. And in Colorado, you're allowed to stack those. So if you have $100,000 in coverage and UIM coverage on each vehicle, you can stack those, and it provides you more available money to recover for your injuries, damages, and losses.
Gosh, there's so much to go through that a lot of people just don't realize that. You think, okay, I'll get covered and that's it. Let's move on in life, right?
You know, that's just the tip of the iceberg, what we're talking about. It is critical that you take the steps that you can to protect yourself, because again, you can't control others on the road, but you can control what type of automobile insurance policy you have and what coverage you can afford in case someone hits you as either uninsured or underinsured.
Okay, here's another term, an insurance term for our viewers. Explain what a set-off is, and is it legal here in Colorado?
So at one point in time it was, but we passed laws. Now it is not legal. And a set-off, if you could think about it, is if you get involved in a car crash and the person who's at fault hits you and has $25,000 of coverage, the state minimum, and you have $100,000 in what they call underinsured motorist coverage. It used to be where the insurance company was able to set off the $25,000 from the $100,000, thereby only allowing you to recover an additional $75,000 underneath your insurance policy. Now, they're not allowed to do that. You have the full coverage of what the person who hits you has, and then you also have the full coverage available for what you're paying for, what you paid for in premiums, and you expected that coverage, and now you're entitled to get the full amount of that coverage.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left. Tell me again a bad faith case. What is it? Can you share a bad faith case?
So there's a lot of different ways, but if you look at it this way, if you have a situation where that driver hits you as uninsured or underinsured and you're making a claim with your own auto insurance policy, if the insurance policy doesn't promptly investigate your claim, if they don't promptly pay undisputed portions of your claim, if they don't give you updated on statuses of where your claim is currently setting, those are all examples of what they call insurance bad faith, and where you're allowed then to file a lawsuit if necessary in order to recover the benefits that you're entitled to under your policy.
We are just scratching the surface with this gentleman, so please, I encourage you to call the firm of Larson Larimer. They handle a wide variety of claims, including motor vehicle accidents, insurance disputes, medical malpractice claims, slip and falls, and wrongful death claims. Their attorneys have helped people recover millions of dollars in compensation for such things as medical bills, lost wages, pain, and suffering. The attorneys from Larson & Larimer will give you the personal attention that you deserve and aggressively pursue your case against those who have caused your injuries. So please pick up the phone. Give them a call today, 303-647-3980. Protect yourself, or find them online at personalinjurydenver.com. Now, do you have a personal injury question? Perfect. Go ahead and send it to us. It's for the partners of Larson & Larimer. Email us that question at mycoco@9news.com. That's mycoco@9news.com. And Larson & Larimer.